This is the day that the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it, and be glad in it. What a pleasure to be with you today in the mosaic of this day, in the mosaic of this age, in the beautiful mosaic of the Creator's plan for our world, for humankind, for our flourishing. In this amazing plan, God has a will for each of us today, and His will is so beautifully worked into this mosaic that with all of our projects and with the larger projects that God is promoting in this world, there is this marvelous sequencing and arranging to minimize clash. There's no clash in a mosaic. There's harmony. Each project in sequence, proper sequence and proper unfolding to discover the will of God for this day or this life. It helps to have a broad cosmic and historical perspective. Well, that begins where? In the beginning, God, Elohim, created the heavens and the earth. He created this world and formed it not in vain. He formed it to be inhabited. Here we are, inhabiting this world. To what end? And what can we learn about world history that will help us to find out how we can best fit into the mosaic? Well, there are lots of sources, and I have a couple for you today, and one of them is A World History by William H. McNeill. Get the 4th edition. It was published at Oxford University Press in the year 2000. I will restrain myself for expressing the reasons for my, no, I will not restrain. So much of the effort at world history is top-heavy with a hard-edged secularism, an emphasis on political and the military, without appreciation for arts and the place of religion. William McNeill taught at the University of Chicago. He was a fine scholar, but he had a balanced appreciation. Oh, so much more I could say about the enterprise of world history. But in addition to historians, further references available upon request, I want to point to another category of writing that can help us. And that is if we look among philosophers who do philosophy of history. And in my, on this point, not very humble view, the great issue of our age is in the debate, or hopefully updated dialogue, between Kant and Hegel. and I've given away my Hegel lectures on the philosophy of history or lectures on world history, but I've still got my Immanuel Kant. And all right, you can see it. Perpetual Peace and other essays brought together, translated by Ted Humphreys. This is at Hackett Press. And in particular, I want to highlight this essay, Idea for a History from a Cosmopolitan Perspective. There's a lot I could say about this, and in my various websites, I have notes and reflections online, but I'll just mention one website and one article at the present time, and that's my previous blog site titled A New Philosophy of Living.com. And if you go into that, the October 19th blog post, you can find it in the archives under the category Morality most quickly. There you'll find the text, a revised text, a little bit revised, of my presentation in Salt Lake City at the Parliament of the World's Religions this last October. My title was Philosophy's Role in Bridging Between Religion and Politics. That's enough of that for now. What a fabulous, thrilling field of philosophy and theology and history and the empirical and the spiritual, all jumbling up together, trying to make sense of it all. Well, the overarching framework within which our daily mosaic finds its place is in God's plan that, well, let's see, I'm going to get a little bit particular at the moment, and I'm thinking of the book by Stuart Easton that I studied in college, titled The Western Heritage. I'm going to talk about the West a little bit. When I was in Budapest, I really focused on the stress of Europe. And of course, there's so much that's shared around the world, partly because of how since the 1500s and the voyages of discovery and the imperial empires and so on, Western civilization, for better and for worse, has had a tremendous influence all over the world. An influence that William McNeill said, that era of Western dominance, as he marked it, came to an end in 1950. But anyway, here we are with Western civilization, may we say, in trouble. And a new civilization arising from the ashes. Well, that's too apocalyptic. We're not in the ashes yet. And maybe like the alcoholic who learns on the curve from, drinking more days than not every week to get back health and sanity and happiness before spiraling down to having the wife throw him out of the house and the employer fire him, and he's on Skid Row just at the end of his rope. Well, the planet can go down like that, but it doesn't have to. Partway down, we can get the message and go for the spiritual renaissance and cooperate with God for this new and better civilization. A new and better civilization will arise. It is the plan of God that we, as his family, should flourish in a civilization that is based upon spiritual truth and spiritual love and compassion and caring. Oh, the beauty, the goodness, marvelous to just let the very vague anticipation flow over one's consciousness. But I've got very much more than a vague anticipation. I've got a radiant assurance that the spiritual renaissance that we need is for sure going to happen. How soon? After how much more misery? I don't know. My radiant assurance has never come with any empirical details attached. But I do know that in our age, we've got many projects and many urgent needs, and that lots of changes need to happen pronto. And to lubricate these changes, we need, most of all, a transformation of values. And that's where we need the spiritual message to resound from the core of our being in thought, word, and deed, as wisely as we can let that message go forward in the power of the Spirit. When I say power of the Spirit, I'm not talking about aggressive, intimidating, self-satisfied, barricaded, loud. I'm talking whatever is divinely appropriate in every conversation, where it becomes fitting in the mosaic of that hour to share the truth that this world so urgently needs. Not every believer is called to be as highly active in this gospel movement as I feel myself called to be. But every believer is called to take part in it. And what a joy that is. Jesus compared the kingdom of heaven to a woman searching for a lost coin, searching diligently and rejoicing when she found it. Now, let's play that story out just a little bit. Think of God searching for a lost planet. Think of Jesus searching for a lost soul. Think of a woman. Let's imagine. Who's Jesus talking to? Most of the time, they were poor people. I can imagine this woman as poor. Therefore, the great rejoicing and the diligent search. If she was dripping with wealth, she wouldn't need to search so diligently. I imagine this woman to have a family, a husband, children, and that coin might have provided nourishment that they hadn't had that day. Maybe nourishment for more than a single day. And the rejoicing and think how we experience the motherly love of God. Reaching out to us when we're lost, searching, knocking on the door. Until we can sense and begin to seek afresh. Say yes. Start over again. Letting every wish of mind and every craving of soul be transformed by the embrace of spiritual growth. As we come to rejoice in the mosaic of this age, this life, this day, as it fits into the marvelous plan of our loving Heavenly Father. Good day.